It's really just knowing how the attack patterns work on these bosses. Hold on.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Alright. How's it going, guys? Today we're taking a look at a game that's not usually in my genre of games on Roblox I play, but after playing it for about a week, I can't just not recommend the game to other people, so we're looking at Adventure Tale. Adventure Tale is this Roblox dungeon crawling RPG game that features many different dungeons and boss fights, as well up to 15 different classes with their own abilities and playstyles. Dungeons in this game are so diverse that the game has a randomizing feature on the dungeons, so no two dungeons will look exactly alike. An increase in the difficulty on the dungeons will also change the boss response at the end of them. The game also features hundreds of items and potential upgrades to them that can change and alter your playstyle to make your build fully unique to you. For example, I have a maxed out Katana class that shoots lightning from my sword, which if I had to say is pretty cool. I can go on and on about the things I like about this game, but I think it'd just be easier to show you what the gameplay is really like. So without further ado, let's get into the game. So when you're starting Adventure Tale, you're gonna realize that there is a lot of classes, and as I said in the intro, there is a varying way to play every class, and every class has a role to fill. So to go into it really simply, the way classes work in this game, you have your original like starting 7 base classes. I think it's 7, which is like dagger, sword, shield, and stuff like that. Things you can pick in the tutorial to come into the game with already, so you have those classes unlocked. And then there's like the hybrid classes like Katana, which I'm using right now, which is Katana is a combination of dagger and sword. So if you have level 20 dagger and sword, you'll be able to use some of your eye gems to buy the Katana class. And then once you get the Katana class, it'll give you a free Katana, as well as allowing you to unlock the perks. So the way levels work in this game, your character itself doesn't have a level, but your level your level is your class level basically. So when I have my Katana out, I'm a level 30. When I have my crossbow out, I'm a level 1. So, and the basis, the reason they have levels and all like this, it kind of encourages the player to go and level everything they have available to them. So you see, I have all these perks because I have a maxed out Katana, and for my dagger and spear and sword, which are level 20, I have the level 15 perk. So no matter what I'm using, I'll always have these perks. So no matter, even if I was using a staff, I'd have +5 melee attack speed, which I wouldn't need, but I'd have it because I have the perk for it. And then to go a little bit into what Katana does, since I have it, I might as well show it off, right? So Katana, the way it works is, usually when you don't attack for 2 seconds, you'll put your weapon back in its sheath. And in the first 4 attacks within 3 seconds when you pull your sword out, not only are they faster, but they do way more damage than normally. So if you see, if I keep attacking, it'll eventually slow down and do less damage over time. So basically, the way the Katana is made to play, you kind of have to rotate around like enemies when you're fighting them to make sure that you're getting the fastest damage you can put out. Which means Katana is it's kind of like a frontline burst damage type of class. Also, every class has a default skill and a scroll skill. So as you see right here, the only skill I have equipped, because I don't really use spells on my Katana, is Flash Cut. This is the default skill for Katana. And so every Katana has this like built into it. See, you dash forward, cut everything in front of you. It's kind of cool. It has a passive where if I use it on one enemy only, the cooldown will be lower, but that doesn't really help me. And so the way scroll skills work, if you were to come over to the dungeon menu, every time you do a dungeon, no matter what the dungeon is, you have a 0.5 chance of getting your skill scroll for your currently equipped weapon. So the skill scroll for Katana is 1,000 cuts. I don't really use it because I like the mobility on Flash Cut more, but basically that's how you would diversify your build a little more if you wanted to use a skill scroll. Skill scrolls aren't always better, they're more of a change of pace and changing your playstyle rather than just being something you have to go and get. And also, just to touch the surface on how the items and all this works in this game, so basically, even if you're not a mage, you can still use stuff like magic spells and such. So just to show it off real quick, I have this level 25 skill that's Thunderclap, and I'm not a mage and I can still use it. Use clap, boom, there's thunder. So that's how some people do their build. They use actual spells and skills because anyone can use those. It doesn't matter. It's just if you're a mage, you benefit more from actually using it. But what I do with my build, instead of using any skills, what I do is I use more items than anything. Because my items, like I was talking about in the intro, I have this passive to where anytime I critically strike an enemy, I'll shoot lightning out of my sword that hits everything around that enemy. So see, I got a crit, lightning pops up around it, and that's really good for me because not only does the item give me crit chance, but it's also good for me because my crit chance on Katana is naturally higher than a lot of other classes. So it's pretty good because Katana's a single target type of attacker. So it helps you like clear out the mobs in the dungeons really easily. All this other stuff is just stuff to help me like buff my, my melee crit damage, my crit chance, my weapon damage, stuff like this. This is like another thing that helps me when I'm soloing bosses. So as I said in the intro, you have a lot of like customization abilities with your build. You can really, there's a lot of like items itself that just change how your build work. They give you some items have passes like I was just talking about, like my little thunderstone thing. It's really up to you to make your own build because you can kind of do what you want as long as it works. As long as it works, it works. Because you have a lot of items to use and a lot of like creativity to be used. All right, so let's get into this raid. Usually I would try to do it on hardcore, but I don't really want to take too many runs trying to do it. But this is more of a case of, since I'm doing it solo, it's kind of like the way Katana works. I don't want to risk dying to these enemies because they clearly do a lot of damage because my little phantom plating thing proc there. But yeah, other than that, like I actually when I've been using this class, I've had an easier time soloing bosses than clearing out these like rooms of enemies. It's honestly kind of crazy, but I mean that's kind of the role Katana is supposed to play. Like they're really good with single target, especially for bosses. All right, keep clearing out these bandits. Everything should go smoothly, and well, I don't have anything to worry about because I'm not in hardcore. But yeah, like it definitely was really fun, like making this build and everything, and then going Katana. A little grindy because I had to level sword and shield, not sword and shield, but sword and dagger to level 21st. But in the end, I think it was pretty worth it with this Katana class. At first, I didn't think it was too good, but then I started playing a little more, and it's pretty nice. The whole 70 crit chance thing, it's kind of crazy. All right, so there we go into the first boss of this raid. Shouldn't be too hard because I've kind of learned how to fight these bosses so well now that like I almost, well, as you can see, I'm immediately jinxing it, but because my potion's down. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just a little bit rusty. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. All right. Let's actually solo this thing because this is the hardcore run to be over already. Dodge that. Dash in and then get behind him and keep critting him. With that. Yeah. So once you know the pattern of all the bosses, they're pretty simple to solo. And then, once you have the damage to back yourself up, you can basically do it. So it took me a few tries because, Bandit Brute is like, kind of hard to play with no dodge. But when I'm soloing, I like to use this item, load up, because it keeps me alive longer. And especially when I'm trying to solo it in hardcore. Alright, second boss. In my opinion, the hardest boss in these, like, raid pools is definitely the first one. Because it's just how it attacks you. Or maybe it's because I'm just not so familiar with it. But I don't know. I feel like all these bosses are hard in their own respective right. But I kind of know what I'm doing more with this boss. All right, so then it switches phases like most bosses. But this one, when it switches phases, it starts with this attack. And I didn't know this until recently. But if you try to attack it during that phase, it'll spawn more of those beams on the floor. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hold on. Also, I'm also using roll most of the times instead of the lightning passive I'm using now because it gives me more crit chance. The little lightning passive, really cool what it does. So basically, since my build is based around crit because I'm using a katana, anytime I crit, anything in a 15 radius nearby will have a lightning bounce. See, like right there? Since my crit chance is so high, I'm basically getting free damage for just swinging my sword. Is that like creativity with the builds in this game and the items that make me really like the game so much? Because it's really expansive when it comes to being an RPG, even though you're basically just dungeon crawling in it. All right, take care of these, and let's move on to the next final boss of the raid. All right, the final boss. Let's pop a potion real quick to make sure we're at least full health. And this, be it the final boss, I still have the most experience with it. I know his patterns and everything, because you kind of have to farm him a while when you're trying to level up to max level. But other than that, he's still probably one of my favorite bosses, and like he's a really cool boss fight in my opinion. Yep, he's gonna come this way. All right, can't afford to let that hit me. All right, now he's switching phases, and when he switches phases, he gets a new attack, a little scatter shot thing, and he just uses all his other forms, but like, you know, a lot faster. Pretty standard. Dodge that. All right. Honestly, I still do think it's a lot easier than the first boss of this raid. But hey, there it is. Oh, I overleveled. Cool. You know, yeah, when you overlevel in this game, like, so if you're once you reach max level, which is 30, and you overlevel, instead of, you know, just like continuously leveling up, instead you'll get like more gold and Aya gems, which you can use to spend on instead of like just buying it with Robux, which in my opinion is pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically Adventure Show. I like this game. I'm a fan of RPG MMOs and such like that. So if you like it and you don't really like what's currently on Roblox, you should definitely give it a try. The game is still relatively new, so honestly, I still think it has a lot of potential and a lot more like content it can still have. But for only being about a month out, it's still a pretty good game. I'm not gonna lie. But that's gonna do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.